Hello, my name is Alan, and today I am facilitating the fifth of 5 sessions of my game of Dark Age Monster Hunting, my PBTA game of Dark Age Monster Hunting, Eotenweard. This is a series called The Mountain Queen, and it has been organised as part of the Gauntlet RPG community's monthly events calendar, where a whole bunch of really good players get together and run games and play in games. These players are some of the great players you could play with if you came to join us at the Gauntlet. If you don't know about the Gauntlet, then simply put it into a search engine and you will find stuff about us. And were you to subscribe to the Patreon, then at different levels you would gain access to the regularly published zine, which frankly at 90 pages, I think the last one, is rather transcending the idea of a zine. But also you would get priority access to join games like these. If you'd like to find out about what it's like to play with us, then the weekend starting on the 16th of July is the second Gauntlet Community Open Gaming weekend. This is a chance for anyone to join us for games at no cost to you, and you can see whether you like it or not, and then maybe come and join us more regularly. I think that's all I have to say about the Gauntlet. I won't go into particular details. We are playing under the auspices of the Gauntlet, so we are using the safety tools espoused by them. So we're playing with the X card, lines, and veils. We also have an open door, and we're playing within the bounds of the Gauntlet Community Code of Conduct. All these players have played with that before. If you'd like to know more about those safety tools, then check out the Gauntlet or one of the early sessions in this series. So all that being said, what I think I'd like to do is just to have each of the players just say hello and tell us something briefly about the character they're playing. And because one of our players had to miss the last 30 minutes last time, so I'm going to ask the players to just fill in where we ended up as far as they remember. So can I go in character keeper order, please? Robbie, say hello, tell us about Tuca, and tell us something about where we ended up last time.
Okay, my name is Robbie. I go with he, him pronouns. I'm playing Tuca, who uses she, her pronouns. Tuca is from the Commoner playbook. I know that at the end of our last session, Tuca, I mean, our kind of quest, as it were, is in trying to retrieve a necklace that was taken by the Fae from the trolls, and we have located the necklace, which goes by the name the Spring, and this apparently has been the subject of some long-standing animosity between the Fae and the troll, and Tuca had the commonsensical idea that, well, maybe you could share it. And surprisingly enough, the Fae Queen at least seems to be open to that possibility if something could be worked out. So Tuca is in the process of seeing whether she can kind of get something like that worked out.
I have a question for Tuca, which is simply, you are currently in possession of Spring, your actual Spring, as far as the Queen is concerned. Where is it? Round your neck? Are you wearing Spring?
I don't think that Tuca would wear it. I think Tuca, in her commonsensical way of thinking about things, realizes that it's beneficial to have a small pouch, which is kind of hidden on her clothing, but she has maybe a kind of secret interior large pocket that she has put it in.
That's fine. Just need to know where to steal it from. Moving along, Will, say hello and tell us something about Blacwyn and some highlight from last time.
Blackwyn's pronouns are he, him, and he is the Hammer of the Gods, a very angry, very punchy sort of person who last session punched out a fire elemental, which was the Queen's champion. And I think so we did, using Spring, we did manage to negotiate a deal between the Mountain Queen and the Winter Queen. But that did leave the question of Riponum, which in the negotiations, Iamon was very much against the idea of forcing them to do any sort of thing. But out of character, Tuca did have her own plot to bring some of the old ways back secretly and resolve that.
Of which more later, which provides a segue to Sabine. Say hello, tell us something about Eamon, and anything you want to add to our picture of where we ended up.
Yeah, I'm Sabine. Hi, I use any pronouns. I'm playing Eamon, who uses he, him pronouns. He's a monster hunter. Last time he was astonishingly diplomatic for, well, the usual way he interacts with monsters, in that he spoke to her, but she didn't understand. The fairy queen somehow did not understand that you leave them alone, they leave you alone was a good deal for her. She wants them to I don't know, pray to them is not the right word. Help me, anyone who's a native speaker, please. What does she want them to do? Give her sacrifice. To give her sacrifices.
Make offerings.
Yeah, offerings. That's what she wants, and well, okay. Also, what also happened is that Modthryth was moving in the shadows, and then she had the shadows attack Modthryth before Modthryth could attack her. And maybe Modthryth was planning that, but it was never entirely clear, at least not to Eamon. He just saw his friend getting attacked by her, even though she was a guest. And the rules of hospitality say you don't attack a guest. Of course, they also say you don't attack your host, but she hadn't done that yet. She hadn't done that or tried that. So he thinks the fairy queen is full of bullshit, basically.
Oh, and you know, never trust a fairy is a positive proverb.
Yes,
so
but the hospitality. Okay.
So Lara, that's where we ended up broadly. Say hello, tell us something about Modthryth, and you will be happy to know that you are free of the Fae Queen's retainers.
Yeah, that's awesome. Hi everyone, I'm Lara, she, her pronouns, and I'm playing Modthryth, who's using the Loon playbook, also she, her pronouns. Yeah, Modthryth is going through a time. She is slowly losing more and more of her mind. And her god seems to be set on cashing in some of the debts that she has increased to him. So we'll see how that goes.
Indeed so. And I should have said at the start, I use he, him pronouns. I think we'll pick up at the point where you leave the Queen's Hall, actually. Or maybe when you leave the forest to head back to Riponum, because we have certainly some business to do in Riponum, I think. And there is snow on the ground. Just thought you'd like to know.
Yeah, well, great. Was it cold enough to have snowed naturally, or does that probably mean that we were in there longer than we thought?
That's an interesting supposition, Eamon. And I guess that's a question you can ask them in Riponum. In fact, let's cut to Riponum and have you arrive to enormous surprise. Somebody sees you, and then soon the single street in the village, the single lane running down the middle of these huts, is everybody's out and saying, we thought you were dead. You've been gone so long. Where have you been?
Oh, we've talked to the fairy queen, I guess.
And that's when Riata, the woman who leads the village, bustles to the front with Father Collidus, the priest, behind her, and she says, "So you've killed the witch. You've done what was necessary."
No, we have not killed the fairy queen. We did not have the opportunity. She invited us as guests, and we could not kill our host.
What was that, Modthryth?
I was this close. I was so close.
We were guests in our hall. We cannot kill our host. That you don't do that.
But she's a monster, says Riata.
Yeah, we wanted to try to talk to her. And the truth is that we had given our word to somebody else to figure out another problem, and we did that.
And I think Father Collidus will chip in and say, because now there's the village is out to hear what's happened. And he says, "You see, these creatures cannot be bargained with."
I'm wondering if we maybe Tuca and Blacwyn might have discussed Tuca's plan on the way back. You know, because it's more than a day away, isn't it?
Flashback.
Yeah. Eamon off hunting game, perhaps, on our way back, and Blacwyn leans over towards Tuca. How are we gonna stop Riponum from? How are we gonna keep square things away between the fairy and Riponum? Then Eamon's not going for any idea of bringing up the old ways again. I don't see what it would hurt.
Well, yes. I've always, I've always found beliefs and values to be important, but I've also found it to be important to be a little flexible. I mean, I do think that there may be a way through this without entirely bringing back the old ways, but at least doing something that would appease the Fae.
Just give him a little token. I reckon that'd be enough. I think it's pride more than anything else. Let's keep
it.
And he glances over at the direction Eamon left. Pride more than anything else.
and I don't think the leadership of the town would be keen on the idea, but it may be possible for us to do something that wouldn't involve the leadership of the town. Maybe some people on the outskirts would be open to taking care of things to keep the Fae satisfied. And who knows? I mean, there may be people in Riponum that still have at least some sense of the old ways.
Yeah, I think that's a good, camera pans out and over the fire as we just look at the two conspirators talking about things. And I guess if we cut back to now, I think it would be a case of just like, we did come to an agreement. There's peace for now.
We did not come to an agreement.
She said that she was happy to see how things played out.
True. Well, yeah, but she did not lift the curse.
Well.
But I think on a crusade at that forest, that would be ill-advised. At least in winter, maybe in summer. Just,
I think that the fairy queen will be cowed by a visit from the great Iamon Demonbane. I don't think they'll dare step forward out of these woods again. You've got my word, people of Riponum.
Blacwyn, do not use my name. for something I wouldn't have not said. Do not put your words in my mouth.
I never
like
used
you.
your name for anything that you've not said, Eamon. I'm just saying, what would anyone do when faced with Iamon Demonbane? Hunter of monsters, bane of all that walks.
Well, apparently they would talk over me.
And he winks.
Anyways, what Blacwyn says has truth in it. I do not think that she will come at you, but I also do not think that she will lift her curse. But maybe do not go to her. It will be in her power. It's so dangerous for you. Build a chapel near the forest. Ring your bells. Pray. That should break her power well enough. It does not
It is
need
as I
to be
said.
to say it.
Father Cordis, it is as I said. We must strengthen our faith against the pagans. Blacwyn, when you say you gave your word,
I mean, I'm giving my word to the people of Riponum in the hopes that Tuca's going to call in that debt, and it's going to all outward appearances be that we came to some, we intimidated the Fey Queen into staying away. But really, what's happening is this guerrilla, is this underground of leaving milk outside and things like that, you know, like.
Okay. So there's no debt that you are offering to incur here.
I'm willing to do it to in theory. I'm just really trying to come up with a way of resolving
You're looking
Riponum.
for cover.
Yeah, but I'm happy to go into debt for that.
No, that's okay. That's okay. So Tuca, because I have to say the welcome at Riponum cools swiftly. They were expecting an heroic return and all will be well. And what they've got is a slightly kind of, don't worry, it'll be okay. What are you thinking of, Tuca? You are muted.
Tuca meant what she said, to Blacwyn, that she's not expecting Riata or Father Calatas to be the ones that would be in favor of or endorse the kind of surreptitious plan that she has in mind. So I think what Tuca is looking to do is to kind of peel off while the big names are kind of jockeying, and maybe try to strike up some conversations with the more common type, some of perhaps the farmers on the outskirts and right, those types of people, to kind of see whether they have a slightly a different mindset than the people at the center of power.
Okay, what about Modthryth? What do we see Modthryth doing here in Ripon at this point?
So there's like a main priest guy, right? What's
just
his name?
One priest, Father Collidus.
Okay, yes. I think Modthryth is going to take him by the hand and say, yes, I believe you and I share the same fears. We must go after this Fey Queen. She looks down at her hands. She has the darkness. Our God is not. We must stop her.
I lost your audio then. She has the hand.
Okay. Yeah, I'm looking down at my hands, and it's like the Fae, they have the darkness and they spread it. It's in me now. Can't you see? It has to be stopped.
And he looks at you, and I think what he thinks he heard you say was that the darkness in the Fae is in you.
I would like to help or defend Modthryth here. And I would like to call in my dad with her for her to step back from the situation. And what I'm doing is to step up and say, Modthryth, remember, please, when your village died and I helped you. And then I will turn to the priest, please excuse her. She has been through a lot.
So, Modthryth, held by a character group, roll plus, so Oadet. Right, what you want to do then is to make her do what you want. That's right, isn't it?
Yes, yes, I want her to. I want her to back off from this situation.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So, you could, are you inclined to do that, Modthryth, and erase the debt between, or a debt between you and Eamon?
What happens if I don't? What if I don't?
Okay. If you refuse to honor a debt held by a character or a group, roll plus subtle minus the debt currently owed. On 10 plus, you convince them that now is not the right time. On 7 to 9, you choose either to honor the debt or increase the debt by 1. On 6 minus, you choose either to honor the debt or increase the debt by 1, or accept that you are unworthy of trust and erase all the debts that you currently hold.
Okay.
What do you want to do?
I don't think that I think Modthryth is very sure that the fairy queen must be stopped, and that like Modthryth is living proof that like this evilness it can spread into anyone. Nobody is safe. So she feels like it's her duty to protect these people.
So roll plus subtle minus the debt currently owed. So what's the debt between you currently?
Oh, it's 1. It's just 1.
Okay, so plus subtle minus 1.
Yeah, that's a 2.
Okay, so Modthryth, you have the option. You can honor the debt. You can always choose to honor the debt and get out of jail free. You can increase the debt by 1 and continue this this approach, or you can accept you are unworthy of trust and raise all the debts you currently hold on anyone or anything. Which of these do you opt for?
I think that I'll just increase the debt.
And continue this. And I think that the way that shapes up is the priest looks at Eamon as if to say, I am suspicious of this woman. And he takes Riata by the shoulder and leads her away towards the church, looking conspiratorial.
I look at Modthryth and say, what are you trying to do here? Please.
He has to be stopped. Look at my hands. And she's going to like shake your face with her hands.
And I'm taking her hands and I'm pulling her away a bit, and I say, Modthryth, there's nothing wrong with your hands.
It's spreading. It's everywhere.
Let's go to church, yes? You're Christian, right? Let's just pray, just for a bit, okay? And then we can talk again and maybe can come to a calmer solution here, okay?
He told me to do this. He told me that he doesn't trust these fae.
God told you to kill him, is that it?
Yeah.
That's convenient, isn't it?
Convenient? No, what he told me.
Yeah. I remember you buff it about on the winds of your own whimsy, Modthryth, and I don't think that we need to call any higher powers into the equation. You wanted to go with her, and then you want her dead.
Just for clarification, the church is where Collidus has taken Riata.
Oh, okay. Then maybe not the church. Let's just calm down, maybe pray a little or something like that. Maybe it helps. Look, Modthryth, we were guests in a hall. If you had tried to attack her, I would have stopped you. We were guests. Hospitality is sacred. You cannot attack somebody if we are their guest?
I don't know. It seemed like we were forced to be guests.
It puts a curse on you. It was put a curse on me as well because I accepted the hospitality. Well, you don't need another one.
Nothing is worse than this. It had to be stopped.
I'm going to go for a drink.
Meanwhile, because the population is, more of them are looking oddly at Modthryth. And Blacwyn is going to get a cup of ale at the Alewife's. I get the feeling Eamon is still there with Modthryth unless Eamon wants to abandon her.
I would like to take her away from the other people at least. So,
well, I think they're scattering. They're going away. They're not mobbing you or anything.
Yeah, no, but she's not quiet, and I don't want them, and I don't want the priest or anyone to form a mob and accuse her of being a witch, because I've seen stuff like that happen. So I want to take her a little walk, like to just calm down, maybe go to the creek and wash your hands. Maybe that will help.
Okay. Tuca, what do we see Tuca doing? This has been going on, and now she's kind of watching the crowd and trying to, I guess, pick some likely individuals.
Yeah, well, and I think, Tuca is probably looking for an elderly man or woman, maybe somebody whose memory goes back a little bit farther. And if I find somebody like that, I think Tuca would approach probably with Bennis trailing behind and try to strike up a conversation.
Yes, shall we call them Caculus and Sanya? They are probably the most ancient people who live in Riponum. They are probably well into their 50s. And probably not long for this earth, but they are certainly, they fit the bill. And when you approach, because we know Tuca is an open-handed, open-faced individual, they will politely engage in conversation with you. What can we do for you, young lady?
Well, I'm a bit perplexed at what has been happening in Riponum. Clearly, Riata and Father Colossus have, specific plans in mind. They seem to be certain of what the solution is and what the direction of the village is, but I don't know. It always seems like situations are often more complicated than perhaps it at first appears, and that sometimes different solutions might be possible that others might be overlooking. You're muted.
I think Sanya looks at her husband and says, "Come, share some broth with us. It's getting cold. The nights are closing in. Come get warm and have some broth with us." And so I think we cut to you inside their hut around a fire with a bubbling pot of broth on the top, and Sanya is spooning some of this thin gruel and pottage into a wooden bowl for you.
And I think Tuca would have probably on Bennis would probably have some food that she could offer to assist in the meal.
Because Bennis has extra supplies. That's his great value.
Yes.
And so they are very grateful to, perhaps there's some dried meat. They won't have dried meat for a little while now. And they'll enter into a conversation with you about, Father Collidus came to the village, only a year or so ago, and he's very strong in the word of God. And shortly after, 6 months ago, he and Riata announced that that they knew that some people continued to show lip service to the old ways. And that wasn't what God wanted, and that such people would be, would not be granted the mercy of God.
Well, and they seem to suggest that all sorts of problems have been plaguing Riponum, and they are attributing all of this to the Fae. I mean, is that what is happening? I mean, they're suggesting that it's almost like there's a war going on with the Fae, creating all sorts of mischief and tragedy that is happening.
And Caculus goes, well, it's just the way things are. They've always been like this. The old gods, I'm a solid Christian, but the old gods still walk the land and the Fae serve them. So, all we were doing was something a bit sensible, I suppose.
And I think after he says that, Tuca, her voice gets quiet, and says, I was with the group that went into the deep forest, and we met the Fae, and I think that there is a way to bring about some type of peace between Riponum and the Fae, but this way would have to be a secret way.
I think you may be aiming to trigger believe me.
Yes.
When you try to keep an NPC out of danger by telling them what you know about what's going on, roll plus subtle.
Okay. So that was 7, and my subtle is 2, so I would get a 9 on this.
Are you tempted to? I'm looking at whether your heroic virtue might reasonably be leveraged in this. Struggling a bit, loyalty.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't sound like you're being particularly loyal to God. What do you think?
No, I don't think I'm being loyal to my God.
Maybe you see it as loyalty to all the people around you, because you will save all of them from more trouble than it's probably worth.
Yeah, I think I definitely see this as, I mean, this is the common sense solution to a problem that otherwise will get out of hand. And right, if it gets out of hand, which is the direction it's going to, it's going to be to nobody's benefit from the way Tuca's thinking about this.
Okay, I'll go for that. So you could owe your God a debt to improve that outcome from 7 to 9 to a 10. And if you do that, I think that there's a conspiratorial conversation, and Sanya leans over and say, so what you're saying is that, and I think that probably ... we know what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah, and basically the plan is, if this would have to be a very small group that still had some kind of sense of the old ways, and it has to, it would not be anything broached with others, right? It has to be, some kind of acknowledgement. The way that Tuca thinks about this is an acknowledgement that the Fae are neighbors, and the Fae has a history that goes deep in this land, and that for the purposes of maintaining some type of peace, some type of acknowledgement of their history is something that needs to be done.
And I think that the line of logic in the chat could suggest that there's a degree of loyalty in this for Eamon to try to solve the problem, to make any difficulty go away. But I'm happy to go with loyalty. Let me cut to Eamon and Modthryth. Now, the slight difficulty you've got here is that hospitality is thin on the ground. Blacwyn is over there by a brazier with a cup of ale outside the alewife's. Eamon, where are you? Because the people have gone indoors, so there's no difficulty with that. But I'm just curious where you're trying to steer Modthryth. You've taken it down to the river, and I think that is where you are approached by this might work. By this man, and he respectfully comes up behind you and he says, "Pardon me, I am Donacus, the tinker, and I just thought you should know that I think the priest has taken against your friend."
Who would have guessed? Yes, I kind of, yes. Thank you for your warning, good sir.
You're very welcome. I travel about, and I've heard of you, and I just wouldn't want your friend to get into trouble. But if I was you, I wouldn't stay long.
No, I wasn't planning to. I was not planning to. Good sir, can you tell me how much time has passed since we went into this forest?
Oh, well, let me think. From what people said, I think you've been gone about between a month and a half to 2 months.
That is quite a while. Well,
people, from what I understand, people have given up on you.
Oh, well, they should. Great. Hopefully nothing of that got back to my wife. Probably did, though. Well, okay. Yeah, get back as soon as possible, I guess.
Okay. And then he looks like he's going to go, and he turns back and he says, I did wonder if you are heading somewhere south. That is the way my path goes, and to be honest, I'm slightly concerned about traveling alone.
You can travel with us, sir, if you want to.
Oh, that is such a relief. Thank you so much. I'm staying in one of the barns. So I will be in the center of the village at dawn, ready to go with you if that suits, sir.
Yes, of course. And I'm not a sir.
Oh, well, most people are sir to me, sir.
Well, you have a donkey, I don't, so I think you outrank me.
Oh, yes, the stories say you've got a great wit. And with that, he will make his way back up to the village. Meanwhile, Blacwyn... sorry.
Can I look to Modthryth and say, I have a great wit? What kind of story says I have a great wit? Who are they talking about?
Apparently you.
I don't know. People talk too much.
Well, a certain local storyteller, I believe, talks a lot. Blacwyn, you've got yourself a cup of ale and at a bench near a brazier outside the alewife's. What are you wanting to do with that, or you just want to sit down and have a drink?
I think Blacwyn just sits down and has a drink and sees his reflection in the back of his silver hand and stares at it, contemplating the vision that he had when fighting the elemental, and what that could possibly mean. And maybe we hear those words echo again in his head. But I'm happy for Blackwyn's scene to just be like, Eamon comes up and like, we better go. Kind of thing, and Blacwyn will be like, yeah, let's go.
Now, do you want to share that? Because I'm not entirely certain that Modthryth or Modthryth's player will have heard any of that.
Oh, yes. So when I was fighting the fire elemental, I punched it with my hand, and just as I punched it with the magical hand, I was given a vision. Well, it was like a message from every time froze, and I was given a message from the Celtic god Cernunnos, I think is how you say it. Cernunnos.
Hard C, but yeah, Cernunnos.
Oh, Cernunnos. Yes, I never know the Welsh hard C. So Cernunnos, who is like the god of the wild, isn't he? Of the woods and things like that.
The wild and the war.
The wild and the war, yeah. And he told me that the hand was given to me to fight greater powers and greater things, to do good with it. Kind of saying that I'm probably destined to fight in this great war against in heaven, sort of thing. I took the implication of, and yeah.
So unless anybody wants to do anything else, I'm inclined to say that we cut to the following morning. Yeah, and there, just in the center of the village, is Dunarchus. With his mule, and his various tinker goods, cheap metal wares, blankets, anything that he can sell or buy. And there is quite a crowd, it must be said, and lots of kind of muttering when Modthryth and Eamon emerge from whichever barn they've been sleeping in. Touched by the Fae.
Blacwyn will glower heavily and steadily at anybody who seems to be paying too much attention until they lose their nerve and back off.
Yeah,
and I think
Eamon will do the same.
Okay, and Dunarchus is already leading the donkey towards the gate in the stockade around the village, and kind of, come on. Tuca, will you stay or will you go?
Well, I think I imagine that Tuca's spent most of the night with her, what is it, Cucullus and Sanya. So I think Tuca will turn to Eamon and say, who is that man by the donkey?
He's a tinker. He I believe I would have tried to warn Tuca and Blacwyn last night that these people were not very happy with Modthryth, and we should get going at the break of dawn as early as possible. Well, and that this tinker had told me about it, and he was coming with us because he wants a bit of protection along the road because robbers and stuff like that, outlaws.
And certainly when Riata and Father Coldus come, they are looking kind of go now or beware. And I think maybe as you go through the gate and leave, because he's that kind of priest, he shouts after you, and beware the girl. She is touched with evil. And that might be a decent point to just break for our first break. Shall we be back in our seats to half past the hour?
Yes.
See you then.
Well, from one witch hunt to another, then, Hallam.
Say it again.
From one witch hunt to another.
Well, yes, yeah. Now you're on the receiving end.
Yeah.
I hadn't thought to ask the question, did you all leave? Okay, we're back in the room. I should have asked whether anybody wasn't going to leave.
I think Blackwyn's done in Riponum. You know, like, let's get out of here while we still can.
Yeah,
Modthryth?
let's go. And I'm looking out to see at least if Modthryth is coming. If she's not there, I'm going to look for her.
Modthryth? Are you there in the morning?
I mean, I think Modthryth in the end will end up going, but I think that as they leave, she's going to like wave to the people and then turn to the priest and say, "Hey, remember me," and try to touch his face with one of her hands.
Oh, I don't. I think that he will throw himself behind Riata, who will just hold you back. Don't touch me, witch!
Come on,
Witch.
Modthryth.
The word
Come
has
on
been
now.
uttered.
Why would you say such a thing?
The crowd is turning nasty, Modthryth. What are you going to do?
Retreat. She'll let Eamon pull her away.
Okay, so I see you now on the road. Now you know Dunarchus will say he wanted to go south, but where are you heading? What is the plan? Because you still have Danem's bronze weapons, and that was a loan, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was a loan. We borrowed them. We should bring them back. But also, I want to go back to Elmut's, the court of Elmut.
We did say we were going to, or Eamon, I think, did say that they would come back and hear them out for the for the war again in the heaven. Right? You can always return the weapons then. Kind of thing.
Yeah. So let me look at the map if it will load. Yeah, I see some trees, and now I see some mountains.
This might be a simpler way to do it.
Yeah, sorry. Okay, so Riponum is there. Where's Danem? Danem is over there, and we're near Verbea, right?
You are the mountain fastness is somewhere just off the edge of this map. I think somewhere up here.
Okay, so I guess we can go to Verbea with a Tinker, then head up to the mountains, and then go back to Danem. Tell them that the Tinker can tell them that we're coming, or that he can come with us, because, I mean, who doesn't need pots, right?
Right, and you should always check on your family. You know, after this amount of time's passed.
Yes, I really want to see how my wife is. I mean, she might be with child. I don't know.
Now there's a possibility. I think what I'd quite like to see is just a scene on the road. Dunarchus is a friendly chap, and he'll try to engage each of you in conversation. So who is the least intimidating person? Tuca. Let's start with a conversation with Dunarchus and you. You don't have, you know, I'm just, you know, adding color here. And he's interested in how someone like you comes to be traveling with people like them.
Well, it actually goes all the way, at least in terms of Eamon, it goes all the way back to our childhood. We've known each other for a long time, and I don't know. I'm the kind of person who, things happen, and I kind of roll with them, and it certainly has landed me in many unusual situations, and certainly knowing Eamon, that also gets me often into interesting situations.
A dangerous life, I dare say. I dare say you come across this kind of, pagan old god stuff all the time.
Well, I wouldn't say all the time, but certainly it is a strange world these days, and there are forces of the old ways that are circulating about, and there are people who subscribe to various new ways that are also now on the scene, and it certainly makes for an interesting life.
So, just between you and me, where do you sit in this, old, new, pagan, Christ?
Tuca looks at him and says, I would just say that I was raised a Christian, and those beliefs are strong with me, but I certainly, well, I am not a crusader, and she says, "Look at me, I'm not a crusader. I'm simply somebody who's trying to kind of make their way the best they can through their life," and she kind of nods over to Eamon, and I'm also, as I say, have a long relationship with Eamon, going all the way back to our childhood, and the two of us kind of make a good team in many situations.
And he finishes the conversation by saying, "I bet he'd do anything for you." And then let's cut to a conversation with Modthryth. And I think Dunarchus will perhaps, he seems slightly intimidated by Modthryth. But in fact, Modthryth, does he approach you, or do you approach him?
I think that she actually approaches him. I think she's gonna kind of sneak up behind him and say, "I've noticed you staring."
Well, you're a very unusual young woman.
Thank you. Nobody ever says that anymore.
Putting the donkey between you and him.
You seem nervous.
Well, a bit, perhaps.
Why?
Well, you strike me as a little bit touched by the old gods. Do you have the sight?
We've all been touched in our own ways, I suppose, but the one true God has also touched me, and he speaks to me. I hear him. I do his bidding. I am a good Christian. A good Christian. a good Christian. She looks down at her hands.
Well, that's very nice, he says, leading the mule on to talk to Blacwyn. That is how intimidated and frightened of Modthryth he is. Well, sir, nice day on the road.
Aye.
Travel a lot, do you?
Aye.
Right then.
Yeah, I think that would be it.
Okay. And then let's cut to a conversation with Eamon. Eamon, do you approach him or does he approach you?
Why would I approach? I mean, I would ask him if he. Oh no! Damn! No, I'm still wondering what to say to anyone. I'm still trying to phrase something to say to Modthryth because I want to help her, but I don't know how. No. Oh, he can approach me.
Good day, sir. Eamon.
You again.
So what actually happened in the forest?
In what forest?
You know, with the Fae. People like me don't get to hear about the Fae.
Fire forest.
The forest outside Riponum, where you spent all this time.
We talked to her. Yeah, we didn't reach an accord, so we left again.
So you didn't get what you were looking. You didn't get what you were looking for then.
I mean, I've watched him talking to the various people. I don't entirely trust him, so I say no, not really.
Does that sound like look about you? Are you angling for a close look at him or something?
Oh yeah, I mean, does there look like read a person? Yeah, thank you. I'm sorry, I'm talking to my computer and the file because somehow it hates the file and it never wants to load it.
What, the keeper?
Sorry, is there yeah, the keeper is it's either StreamYard or the keeper, but something slows, or it's Tuesdays. I have no idea. I hope it's not Tuesdays. I'm really slow right now. But if there's a move like read a person or something, I would like to do that. Yeah.
There's look about you, which would allow you to ask a question about someone or something in the scene. So this is roll plus sense.
Yeah. Cool. I'll do that. And I've rolled a 2, so yay. Yay, XP.
XP, and I think it's fair to say, the more you look at him, the more suspicious you are of him.
Yeah, well, if he doesn't attack me, I won't attack him, so.
Let's go back round to Tuca.
I'll watch him when he's with Tuca.
Of course you will.
And with Modthryth. And with Modthryth, of course. He gets that Blacwyn. That's his own funeral.
So Tuca, that night around the fire, he comes and he sits on the log next to you and he says, Master Eamon over there says that you came away empty-handed, you know, no deal, no nothing.
Well, I wouldn't be one to go against what Eamon told you.
Must be very frustrating.
What are you referring to? The Fae?
Well, you know, it's like me selling things, isn't it? You know, you go into a village, you think you've got all the good stuff, and you come away empty-handed.
Well, you're. I mean, we are in different professions. You are a tinker. You are somebody who is looking to sell your wares, repair things to make a profit. There's more out there than simply kind of, you know, profit in that sense. I mean, there are, you know, I'm just a lowly commoner. I mean, I have no aspirations to acquire any kind of wealth in the way that you're talking about.
Well, it seems to be that you lead a very exciting life, young woman. Good night now. And he goes and curls up in a blanket with, I guess, the rest of you. When the sun comes up, the trees that you've been sleeping under are in bloom. Just thought you'd like to know.
What now?
Well, Donargus is he said, "Look at this."
I'm looking at
Yeah,
Tuca.
it's
Like-
almost like a sign of spring that has appeared. And Tuca kind of looks over at Eamon when she says this.
A blessing from
Yeah.
God.
And on you go on the road, I suppose.
Yeah, we can't eat the blossoms, so
And all day he's talking about this. Wait till I tell people what I mean, how can trees come out in bloom in practically midwinter? Anyone
maybe God
biting?
likes you. Maybe God likes you, I tell him.
Anybody want to do anything else on the road, or can I cut to the chase?
I would like to talk with Modthryth about the voices in our head, because now Blacwyn has one too, right? So I think it would be a case of being like, so you think the voices in your head are God? Is that right?
Only one of them. The other ones are just kind of there.
So there's more than one.
Well, yeah.
And he thinks about that for a moment and he's like, well, you know, there's definitely gods and monsters and demons and all of those other things. And maybe it is the Christian God. But they don't always want what's best for people like you or me or anybody else. They want their own things. If I had a voice in my head telling me what to do, I'd be a bit suspicious.
But don't you listen to the voice in your head?
I keep my own counsel. I do things for me and for mine. And you should do the same.
Modthryth is going to take your metal hand and just kind of pat it and say, oh, Blacwyn. As time goes on, it gets harder and harder to keep your own counsel. But you hold on to that.
And you watch out. Not all the enemies are outside your head.
I'm always on my guard. You know that.
So Modthryth, I will remind you, has been told to watch out. Yeah? Okay. When someone offers you sensible advice on what you should do, and you then do something the GM considers the opposite, oh, your gods are dead to gain advantage, Modthryth, I'm just reminding you, you have that move. Tuca, what do you do when you wake up in the night with someone's hand over your mouth and a knife at your throat? Do you struggle?
I don't think I initially struggle. I think I initially try to kind of keep my calm to kind of get a sense of who this is and what the situation is.
It sounds a little bit like Donarchus when the whisper comes, "Where have you hidden it?"
Where have I hidden what?
Spring. There's a hard edge. There's something about the voice that it's odd. It kind of rings bells, but it's kind of Donarchus, but it's not Donarchus. Where is it? More insistently.
I'm not sure what you're talking about.
Keep your voice down.
Are you an emissary from Gurmond?
There's a pause, and he says, "Yes, come with me." And he kind of starts to drag you to your feet. You know. What do you do?
Can I see him?
Behind you. That was kind
of. I think when I. I think I want to try to determine, like, is Donarchus, like, is he a troll in disguise as the other troll was, or you know, I'm trying to get the best view I can of him.
Okay. I'll let you look about you.
Okay.
Roll plus sense.
And my sense is +1. So that's an 8.
Okay, you can ask me one question.
I guess.
Question?
Yeah. I mean, I want to try to see if I can determine whether, you know, is Donarchus just a tinker, or is there something more to him at this point that I can make out?
I'll give you two things, I think. The blanket where Donarchus went to sleep no longer has Donarchus underneath it. Mm-hmm. But it is fair to say that the rough woolen overcoat, robe, tunic that Donarchus was wearing, the arm that you can feel and see in the firelight, is of higher quality.
Mm-hmm.
Does that seem like fair?
Yeah, yeah. And so he's behind me now and wants me to kind of quietly go.
Come with me. Yeah.
I think that at this point, Tuca's going to look for her opportunity, and when she feels like she can make some type of move, she's going to try to. I think she's going to try to just throw an elbow and separate herself from him, and yell out, "Lay your hands off of me."
Okay, I think that is probably face danger with Savage.
Okay.
Because your objective here is to get loose, isn't it?
Correct.
With a bit of violence.
Yeah. All right. So that is a 5.
Oh my. The hand clamps over your mouth, and you are dragged into the woods. Eamon, Modthryth, and Blacwyn. What do you do when Donarchus and Tuca are gone?
Where's the mule? Where's the mule?
The mule is still there.
Huh. That's not Donkey. If that had been Donkey. Okay.
Nor is it Benus.
Yeah.
Both donkeys are still there.
Both
Tuca's
donkeys
donkey is there, and Donarchus's donkey is there.
Cool. Got a donkey now. Yeah, and Tuca's stuff is there as well, where she has slept, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I knew I didn't trust that fella. Damn.
We still got the dogs.
It's going fine. Yeah.
Modthryth has the dogs.
Bark and bite.
Yeah, let's go and find them.
Yeah, so I think that Modthryth will probably give the dogs Tuca's scent from some of her stuff and see if she can get them to follow it.
Now, the way I think that we mechanized this was the way that we used Eamon's hunting beast, which is say what it is, name it, select a basic move, which was look about you when they are being used as kind of hunting dogs, stroke, scenting dogs. So you can get advantage with look about you, Modthryth, using the dogs if you pay your god a debt.
All right, I'm fine with that.
Because where are you now? Yeah, that would. Yeah, you knocked a bit off your debt. So increase your debt to 2, and you can roll to look about you with advantage, Modthryth, which is roll 3 dice and take the top 2.
Okay. 6, 7. Oh, 6, 7, 8. So that's an 8.
So you can ask me a question, which I'm kind of assuming is, which way did they go?
Yeah.
And so I think we probably cut to Modthryth with Bark and Bite pulling her into the woods. Blacwyn, Eamon, what's your plan? She's got the scent and she's off.
We're following.
Yeah. I'm going to mark Wrath, though, because I'm pissed off at this.
So give in to a bit of wrath. Reduce the debt to your god by 1. Sorry, cool. Eamon.
I would like to look about me with the help of my falcon at this point, because I'd like to go in there as well informed as possible. And I will owe my god a debt for that because it's Tuca.
Then go ahead. Roll with advantage to look about you with Caridwen the Hawk.
Yeah. Let's see how that goes. Oh, well, I can't roll today. I've got a 5. I've got a 6. So, well, no. It's probably too woody.
Dear me.
Yeah. That was a not very well owed debt. Well, okay.
I'm just trying to think, what could I be? I feel I can't be nasty to you because you're rolling so badly.
You can go ahead and be nasty. It's fine.
Okay, then I think I will invoke Wrath. Right, so I will tempt you with Wrath because it just seems to me that you didn't trust him, and you had a chance. You could have got him, and now it's too late. He's got Tuca. Oh, everyone's marking wrath. Okay,
We're all pissed.
spitting in God's eyes and marking a temptation.
Does the
dogs,
but that doesn't mean that I get to reduce the dead, right? Because that was the result of the rule.
not when I apply it as a hard move. So yeah, the hounds are kind of, you know, loping through the woods with Modthryth, you know, following on behind, and the pair of you jogging after her, I think. You seem to be going up to higher ground. Yeah. Tuca, I know you'd love to know where you are, but I feel obliged to just keep that in my back pocket for reasons of dramatic clarity. So let's cut, Modthryth, to you coming to what looks like a scrubby hill, but I think you would recognize it as one of those, you know, kind of ditch and mound forts, one of the old pre-Roman hill forts. Eamon and Blacwyn, you will certainly recognize it as that. And the trail is going straight to the top, Modthryth. Do you just keep going, or do you hold the dogs back?
I keep going.
And Blacwyn, Eamon, just follow Modthryth? Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm
sure, I'm pissed.
Yeah, I'm gonna put Eamon in the lead because I think Eamon has the added stimulus of it being Tuca under threat, presumably.
Yeah, but he's got an arrow on his bow, though.
Oh, right. Okay. And you come up over the rise, and there you see Tuca. Tuca, would you roll to face danger, please? I think probably with steel. Muted. Am I right? Yeah. That's a 6.
It's a 6, yes.
Tuca is lying unconscious in the center of a ring of stones. What do you do, Eamon?
Anything else to see there? Anyone
Look about
else?
you. Look about you.
Oh, great. I probably won't make a very good roll
here.
Oh,
I'm not going to make
I'm
you
at
roll again.
-2.
I'm not going to make you roll again. At this point, I'd like to keep that temptation in my back pocket, I think. No, it is a bare hill that you come up through some scrub. The top of this hill is bare. It's about 30 or 40 paces across. There's a set of low stones, standing stones in the center, and in the middle of that, Tuca is lying.
Whatever, I'm going there. I'm rushing. I mean, come on, why not? What could go wrong?
And I think that you rush. Well, you tell me. What do you do when you get there? What do we see?
I think I look her over. Is this really Tuca? Because I'm pissed, but I'm also not that stupid.
I think I will make it. I think I will ask you to look about you now then.
Cool. Then let me roll these terrible dice. You're a helping horse, now help. Yeah, that helped. I rolled an 11, so I'm at 12, I have a 10.
Oh, even with the -2. So that gets rid of that temptation. You've taken the pain on that. But on 10 plus, you can ask me 2 questions. Is it Tuca? Absolutely. Yeah. Tuca comes to, she looks up at you, and those eyes, that look she gives you, cannot belong to anyone else.
Okay, cool.
Do you want to ask me a second question?
Oh, totally. Is there anybody else besides us? And if so, where?
I think no, there isn't. But I will tell you that Tuca's dress has been torn.
Oh,
kind of along a seam.
okay. Huh. Yeah, I will then not really drop my bow, but relax my bow, and go down to next to her and say, Tuca, are you all right?
And so is Tuca, does she have her wits about her?
They're coming back to her.
Mhm.
And then I think we flash back, Tuca, to you being dragged backwards into the wood. And then you don't know quite how, but you seem to just fall asleep and you wake on this moonlit hilltop, with someone tearing open the dress. You see, you feel unable to do anything. You're just lying there. There's a huge lethargy sitting on you, and in the shadow you can see this figure just ripping open the seam of your dress and saying, "Got it!" And then he looks up at you, and it's Findel. "This is mine, Tuca," he says. "I took it, and I will benefit from it. That old witch tricked me out of it." What do you do, Tuca? You can't stop him. But...
Right. Well, I think Tuca says, Findel, you do not know what you are getting yourself into.
What do you mean? I have spring. With that, I can be great among my people.
Well, you are about to bring wrath down upon you and your people.
And then he waves his hand in front of you, and you lapse into unconscious. And that is what the audience sees, and what Tuca clearly has told you three. Modthryth, what are you going to do?
So I think that I'm probably going to run into the circle with Tuca and try to like push her out of there.
Start dragging her out of the stone circle. Blacwyn, what do we see you doing on this hilltop, if anything?
I think I'm looking about me for, in much the same way that Eamon is, which seems a shame to get rid of my wrath in such a straightforward manner, but let's do it.
Go for it.
I get a 8, so I get to ask you one
You
question.
get to ask me a question.
That stone circle, anything significant about that at this moment in time?
Yes. I think that the hand is tingling, as though you are near a place of power. So there is a place of power here. Maybe that's how he managed to keep Tuca subdued. Seem fair?
Yeah, sure. Cool. Yeah, fine. Blackwyn will go over to it, and he will, he will shout like, "Step out of there! That's Fey. That's Fey business. That circle."
So Modthryth is trying to drag Tuca out, as Tuca kind of stumbles to her feet. And do you all of you then leave the circle? Okay. And Tuca, desperately looking at that secret pocket sewn into your dress. Spring is gone. What are you going to do?
Well, I mean, she would relate to the others that Findel, who I saved, has I don't know what his ultimate goal is, except that this spring is something that, you know, the various old inhabitants of the earth seem to want it. But Findel has it now.
Well, best we get it back then.
Oh. Yeah, let's go and find him. He has
Now-
spring. I assume that we can. I assume we can follow that.
That is very interesting because off the hill, down through the kind of scrub, and into the wood, there's a path of spring flowers.
Let's go there. Let's find him and reintroduce him to this arrow.
So I take you've swapped out the ordinary arrow for a bronze arrow at this point, Eamon.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
And so what am I seeing? I think I'm seeing Modthryth and the dogs, you know, running, loping through the wood along this spring path.
Modthryth is
skipping in the spring meadow that is strung out ahead of you. Eamon and Blacwyn in that kind of business-like, you know, job to be done. Tuca, what's going through your mind at this point?
Well, she is she's over Findel, to say the least. And she, I think, is looking over at Eamon with perhaps a grim smile on her face, that she has faith that Eamon is going to you know, rise up, you know, and kind of show his stuff, and she's kind of looking forward to Eamon kind of taking charge of this situation.
Blacwyn, you've still got wrath marked. I don't. You should have, should you? Didn't you? You got rid of it. Tuca still has wrath marked. Tuca is clearly very angry with Findel, and I think I'm going because Findel, I think, is feeling on top of the world. He has spring. He has what he stole from Gurmond. He has what was then stolen from him. Findel is on top of the world, and he's just showing off with spring. And so I think I will see you running through this woodland, closing on him, and then bursting into a clearing where there is Findel. And he turns around and he says, "You can't touch me. I am more powerful now than anyone."
I shoot him with the arrow.
Go ahead.
I mean, talking. No, that's not. We're not talking now. I think. Let's see how that goes. Probably very bad. Oh, no, it doesn't. It's an 8. It's a 9. Fair.
Okay, so
it's a 9.
On a 9, you could exchange harm. Now, clearly, he's too far away from you to do you any harm.
You could do that with spring or with magic, though.
Well, I think that's an interesting question. I have in mind what I think he's going to do, but you know, do your stuff. Do you want to exchange harm? Is it 1 or 2? I can't remember.
It's the bronze arrow. I don't know what kind of damage that would do to a fae.
Same as an ordinary bow. So what's your bow damage? Okay. I can't remember.
I think it's 2, and I've been trained from youth, so it's a 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
It is like he kind of just melts. It's bullet time, really, because he has the characteristic lithe. So he literally was going to hit him, you know, in the mouth, and he just turns sideways, and it just skims his cheek, drawing blood. So you will do 1 point of harm on Findel. Okay. And I think he will probably see Blacwyn as the most significant threat. So Blacwyn, he will indeed attack you with his magical attack. 2 harm, ignore armor, close.
Yeah, but the exchange harm would mean that I and him exchange harm, right? Not that I do him harm and then he does somebody else harm. Or
no. I'm giving you the edge. I'm going to make Blacwyn roll fight,
Yeah.
or face danger to take cover.
Yeah, no, it's definitely going to be a fight. I think Blackwyn was charging, in the wake of that
Okay.
arrow.
So what's the range of your weapons?
Throwing axe is one harm hand close.
There you go. So you are in a position where exchange harm would work. So go ahead.
That is a miss. So I take the harm.
My goodness me. Yeah, you take 2 harm. And the axe whisks past him. Again, he has this remarkable agility. You know, he might have even caught the axe if he'd wanted to. And it flies away into the undergrowth. Tuca, what about you?
That was his axe that flew into the undergrowth?
No, that was Blackwyn's throwing axe. The bronze throwing axe from Danum has missed Findel and disappeared into the undergrowth.
I think I'm going to dive into the undergrowth
and go get it. Okay. Okay. Modthryth, what about you?
Modthryth is going to start approaching Findel with open arms and just saying, "But we can touch you. Don't you understand? You have been touched and I have been touched. We are one." And she kind of extends her hand out, and I'm trying to use Capering Fool.
Yeah, let's go with Capering Fool and see what his reaction is before you get up close and personal with him.
Cool. So that's an 8.
That's not bad at all, is it? On something like pick either inconsequential or harmless. Does he ignore you, or does he notice you but think you're harmless?
Let's go with inconsequential.
So he ignores you. Yeah, just you're not to be considered. Let's go round once more and then see how Tuca does in the undergrowth. Blacwyn, Eamon. What do you do?
I mean, I've got a bronze axe of my own.
You have, and you've got plenty of arrows as well, haven't you?
Yeah, but not. Yes, right. I have more bronze arrows, but I'm forgetting about that right now because I want to hit him right now. I'm lost my wrath, but I think going in and just going at him might be a better idea.
Just check.
I don't want him to run away.
Didn't you take your bronze in arrows? Because that's what it's all. That's what's on the sheet.
You're right. You're right. Damn. You are right. Okay, then I probably have to shoot him. Yeah. Well. Okay. I will move into. I will go up closer because I mean I could keep my distance, but I don't want to. I really don't want to. I want him pushed full of arrows.
Okay.
Or maybe I have another idea. Where does he keep the necklace precisely?
Do you want to spend this round looking about you to ask that question?
No, I'm not. No, but if it's obvious, like he's wearing it around his neck or something like that.
I don't think I can tell you because I get the slight sense that though your wrath has gone, I think that the red mist is down a bit. So you would have to use this action to investigate, I think. Yeah.
I don't want to investigate. I want to hit him with an arrow. I can investigate him later.
So straight to roll with Savage then.
Yeah. See how that goes. Yeah, that's a 9 again.
So this is exchange harm. You do 2 at close?
I do 2 at close, and I think I might do 3, or I also have the other options. I can choose one of these.
Go on.
From the 10 plus. So I can spot a weak point and inflict 1 extra harm.
Well,
yeah.
Do you want that weak point to be for me to tell you where spring is?
I mean that yeah. pretty much.
If you know, it just seems to me fictionally that would make some sense, unless you want to do extra damage on him.
I mean, the thing says spot a weak point and inflict 1 extra harm, but we can make it fictionally that I just spot the weak point and don't do the extra harm.
Okay.
Okay.
It's not round his neck. He actually has it in his hand, and he's swinging it round. And as he swings it, the trees around you are increasingly, leaves are coming out, blossom is forming. So you did 3 on him. His agility cancels 1 of those. So 1 of the arrows he dodges, and he will do 2 harm, ignore armor on you with his magical attack.
But I don't. It's magical, right?
Yeah.
So dodge and dive doesn't help me.
Afraid not. Afraid not.
No, it's fine.
Let me now see how Tuca is doing in the undergrowth. I think this is probably face danger with sense, because you're trying to work out where did it go. That's where I need to look. Fair enough?
Yes.
Go for that then.
So that's with sense. Face danger with sense, that's a 9, and I have a +1 sense, so that would be a 10.
There it is. Blacwyn, you don't have any bronze weapons right now. What do you do?
Punch him. And I have advantage because of my I spit is at your best after taking that blow.
Of course you do. So roll to fight with Savage with your magical hand, while he tries to kind of just buffet you away.
Well, I get a 12 on that.
Now, I can't remember. Did I write a 12 plus for fight? I think I probably
You
do.
indeed. You did indeed.
So you have a whole range of options.
I do, yes. I think I'm going to take... This stuns him. All PCs involved in the conflict gain advantage. So that's the 12 plus option. But then I also have my my train from birth move, which gives me an extra option from the 10 plus or an additional harm. And I think I'm going to I think I'm going to choose to avoid exchanging harm and choose inflict 1 harm, even if I avoided exchanging harm with my 10 plus choice, and then use my extra 1 to force my foe to where I want them, which is, I think, off balance enough that spring is perhaps left open to somebody else's strike. Maybe like I like grab his hand and wrench it and then smack him across the face with my magical hand or something, you know, like.
Okay, so you have not exchanged harm, but you've chosen to do a point of harm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And you are you have him where you want, and everybody gets an advantage. He is surprised by, because the hand grips him, and you can see the look on his face when, you know, the potency of that hand. Modthryth.
Yeah, I think that Modthryth is probably going to continue muttering and like kind of slowly stalking up next to him, and then she's going to try to stab him with one of her bronze throwing knives.
You have a move, don't you?
That's if I successfully.
Right. So this is roll with Savage, but you could do some more harm. Yeah.
Yes, and I have advantage, right, because of
Blackwyn's effort. Yes.
Cool. Let's see how this goes. All right. So that's an 11, I think. Yeah.
I'm prepared to believe you. So you succeed, and so you will exchange harm, or you could have 2 things off the list. but you will do 2 extra harm.
Yeah, I think that I'm just gonna do harm.
So you'll exchange harm, which means that you will take 2 harm.
Okay.
You will do 3 harm, if I've got that right, on the basis of your success, plus the extra 2. But you have an effect, which is do extra harm. So I think you do 4 points of harm on him. Yeah. He is live, so he is going to dodge one of those. But that's still the look on his face, Blacwyn, as he feels the bronze dagger behind him go in at the kidneys, is significant. Tuca, you have the axe. Blacwyn has wrestled friend Findel to a so they're kind of grappling, I think. Modthryth has just come up behind him, and you can see that kind of light fey blood running down from the wound she's put in his back. And Eamon is half a dozen paces away, aiming. What do you do, Tuca?
Well, and Tuca has the wrath that's going, correct?
She still is wrathful. A
Well,
woman betrayed.
Yeah, I think she is. I think she's going to launch the axe at Findel and say, Findel, I am over you, and your betrayal is now your undoing.
If you were a villain, that would count as a monologue. Throw the throwing axe. Roll with savage. +1 for wrathful.
Right, which is going to just balance things out because I have a -1.
Does he get advantage still?
Oh, that's right.
Indeed so. Indeed so. Forgive me. You're quite right.
Okay, so I roll 3 of these.
What could go wrong?
Well, I rolled a 12. Yeah, you're muted, Alan.
I'm as stunned as Findel. The person he did not expect to throw put a bronze throwing axe in the back of his head was not Tuca. How much damage is that? Bronze throwing axe 1? Sounds about right. But you have all those options in the move. Do extra harm. Inflict grievous harm, 2 times normal harm. If all you want to do is harm, you can do 1, 2, 3, 4 harm.
Yeah, I think with that wrath going in her and this kind of betrayal, where she Tuca feels like she's put all these pieces in place, and then to have Findel try to swoop in to kind of undo everything that Tuca's been working for is So I think she would go for the maximum damage here.
So I think the axe flies over Blackwyn's shoulder and strikes him straight in the middle of the forehead. And for a moment he looks at you, Tuca, and you can see the enormous regret in his eyes. And then his eyes swivel towards Eamon, and he smiles and dies. What happens to Fae when they die?
They turn
Who
to
wants
flowers.
to tell me? Go on, Eamon.
Well, they depends on their nature, I guess, but this guy might turn into a flower or something.
Fine. Yeah. Oh, yes, I like that. And there's a kind of what's that poisonous plant? Treat heart
Lots of
disease
blood.
sometimes.
Yeah,
Belladonna.
Belladonna.
Yes. I think that he turns into a copse, a cluster of belladonna, because I think that would probably suit his nature. Yeah. Sigh of relief. Shall we take a 5-minute break? Yeah. See you at 25 to the hour.
Poor Findel. Got messed up with the wrong woman there, clearly.
He did.
I did have a question for Findel, which obviously not going to get a chance to ask now. He was sworn to. He said he was sworn to the person who had the amulet.
That is what he said.
Hmm. But I suppose if she took it off him and then he took it off from us, technically that's not really him breaking his debt to her so much as us failing to protect it, perhaps. Who knows how fairies work, right?
Or he may have been lying.
Yeah, fairies. Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Yes, all a cunning plan. Get them to get it, and if they get it, I can steal it.
Yeah.
Don't go into that forest.
Yeah. I do love the fairy because it means that you can just, you can always back right whatever their explanation was. Because like, it looks like we've lost the Rob's household's internet connection.
Iffy. Well, that would be a shame.
I'm sure they'll be back.
Yeah. Not if some rodent is, because what did Laura? Oh, here we go. Modthryth back. Oh, not connected. Oh, there we go. You worried us then, Laura. Your father's gone as well.
Uh-oh. That's not good.
You're muted, Alan.
I thought we'd lost both of you. So we'll just wait for Sabine.
I do always love the motivation of fairies to create another court outside of the the summer and winter, but what about spring and autumn and anything in between?
I'm trying to think. I think
the Dresden Files do it maybe at one point.
Well, I've played in a Dresden Files Urban Shadows game that I think Lowell ran last year, where we did end up being sucked into this creation of a new spring court. And I think in the end, I was kind of leveraged into becoming the Knight of Spring, is where we epilogued, I think.
Yeah, that sounds like a Dresden Filesy thing to do.
Yeah. Yeah. And, I was a fey stand-up comedian. I had a perfectly good life. So I will just check in. Tuca, does that feel like an appropriate arc of you and Findel?
Yeah, well, unexpected, but yeah, it does certainly. I mean, I think given his duplicity and betrayal, especially after took us thinking, I back to where this all started, and this sequence where she had saved him, and that he would resort to a trick like this.
Yeah, if only you hadn't given up the debt he owed to give Blacwyn the leverage to bully some information out of him. If only.
I do think Tuca is going to be very emotional at this point, though, right? I mean after that wrath is expended and she sees the consequence of that is something that I think will have her rattled a bit.
Well, once Sabine is back online, I will ask you where you go for comfort. And Modthryth, I didn't ask you for wishes last time because you had to cut and run a bit early. But is there anything that Modthryth wants to see in our remaining 40 minutes or so?
I'm not gonna lie, I think Modthryth just really wanted to do some significant damage to somebody, and she did that, so happy
with making a fae bleed. Okay, so in that aftermath then we see Findel just collapse into the ground, and in an accelerated kind of process of decay, out of the low mound he becomes, blossoms forth this stand of digitalis. Tuca, we were just saying that you're going to have some reaction to this, I think. What do you do?
Yeah, I mean, I think Tuca's frozen for a second when she sees what the result of her axe attack is. And then, yeah, I mean, her wrath goes away, and she is, I think, surprised at herself and a bit appalled at what damage she was able to unleash. And I think she breaks down at this point, and I think she's gonna run over to Iamon and is going to be looking for some type of support or consolation from Iamon, who certainly is much more used to this type of fighting.
Yeah, sure. I mean, if she runs up to him, he will take her in his arms. He doesn't really necessarily understand what's going on with her, but that doesn't mean that he just won't react like, okay, I'm not shooting my arrow now. I'm holding Tuca now, who smells nice. Okay, weird.
Does music swells? I notice in the comments. Then what's the plan? Because there, lying on the ground, is Spring.
Modthryth is going to pick it up.
Oh, Modthryth has Spring. Tuca, I'm not sure you're in any position to do anything about it. Eamon at this point is comforting you. Blacwyn, you see Modthryth pick up Spring. What do you do, if anything?
You remember who that belongs to?
Well, there seems to be some argument about who it belongs to. Everybody seems to think it should belong to them.
And Tuca came up with a very nice plan that involved making peace with everyone. Now, don't you think that woman's done enough for you? That you wouldn't put her good word through the mud any further?
Well, no, I wouldn't want to do that. But,
Well, why don't you hold on to it, but make sure it ends up where it's supposed to, yeah?
Yes, where it's supposed to.
The mountain.
And she kind of tucks it
away. Yeah.
Okay.
Everyone's
said. When Tuca and Eamon break their comforting clinch, Tuca, you will notice that Spring has gone. What do you do?
I mean, I think she goes over to the plant and asks, "Where is it? Where is Spring?"
Blacwyn, you will hear Tuca ask this question. What do you do?
I will turn and look at Modthryth and nod expectantly, and I will call in my debt with Modthryth if she's trying to be trickery about it.
So, Modthryth?
Yeah, Modthryth, Blacwyn could do some serious damage with that hand of his, and she is still a little uncomfy around that hand. So I think that she'll probably like duck away from his gaze and be like, I have it here. It's safe.
Hand that over to Tuca and reduce the debt you owe Blacwyn by 1. Where do you want to cut to next?
I would want to do one thing before we go.
Go ahead.
I'm taking the arrow that Tuca gave me, and I'm looking at her, and then I punch it into the ground where the nightshade grows, just so that the bronze is in the ground with it, and I say, maybe we'd leave it here. What do you think, Tuca?
Yeah. I think Tuca smiles and says, well, I don't know that Findel will be coming back after what we've done, but certainly an extra bit of bronze in the soil wouldn't hurt.
Before some fey sorceress comes and tries to do anything, just a bit of insurance.
Bit of insurance, perhaps a bit of a warning as well.
I love that you just staked a fey. That gives that places Faye in a whole new cultural sphere that you've just opened the box on for me. Thank you for that. So having done that, and we probably see you walking away, and the camera will pan to the arrow plunged halfway up its shaft into this mound where the nightshade is growing. Where do you want to cut to? Has anybody got somewhere they want to be, something they want to do? Oh, and you do indeed have now 2 donkeys.
What's she called? The Mountain Queen. I suppose we need to return this amulet. But I don't know if that might be to her messenger or something.
And it's not just returning. We're I'm trying to broker some type of understanding where it would be shared.
I think where I'm placing, because you mentioned that you would follow the trail from Riponum down to Verbea, but I wasn't certain if you were heading to Danum to give back the bronze or whether you were heading up to the mountain fastness.
Basically, to the mountain fastness first, and then to Danum. But because Danum can wait, they've waited long enough. But I mean, come on, I want to go home.
Danum might be like what we do in between sessions, kind of in between adventures sort of stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. And before I go to Danum, I should talk to Sertigan anyways. So.
So are you going to go through Verbea, the former home of your wife, or are you going to go round it, Eamon?
Personally, I would prefer go around it because, I mean, these are not our allies, and I've got enough of people right now anyway.
Yeah, the Lord of Verbea is now some client of King Edwin of Northumbria. So yeah, let's cut to the mountain fastness. Let's not mess about. So I think I see you heading up the valley with the Tinker's donkey and Benus and his extra supplies, all one after the other, heading up the trail towards this rather mean and low royal household, which is just a big hut with a couple of small huts. And I think probably you will be spotted coming by, forgotten his name, Tredness, who is the head of the King's Guard. The King's Guard counting as him and 2 other fellas. And it looks pretty run down. The winter is coming on. I think they've given up hope, Eamon, because you were supposed to come back and trade off this deal with the trolls. And so they're hunkering down, I think, waiting for the trolls to come and evict them. So what do we see as you come into view, Eamon? What do you think the reaction will be as you come into view of Tredness and the guys on guard?
I don't know. I mean, I bet they're a bit surprised, and maybe they like the fact that we brought along some more supplies, kind of.
Tuca, what tells you that someone has died here?
I think. I mean, I'm wondering if you know, out of one of the you know, out of the main I don't know what you call it, a building, the
Hut.
main hut,
Big hut, the big hut.
The main hut has smoke coming out of the. I don't know if it has a chimney or if it's just a kind of opening that, and I think that there, you know, a kind of incense effect when somebody dies, that maybe there's like some special, you know, special thing that they put into the fire as a kind of
sweet herbs.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
that kind of smell.
That tells you that someone is laid out in that large hut. Yeah. I'm trying to work out the best way to ask you who it is, but I don't know if you want to tell me or whether I should tell you. But Modthryth, what do you notice that tells you that the settlement is now very short of food?
I mean, I think that we probably see like various people like kind of like huddling over like super small bits of like bread or like dried meat, and they are like savoring every last bite. What is it, a 5-star gourmet dish, right?
I got the first bit, but I lost most of the second bit of that.
Okay, yeah, people are like huddling over their food, and it's like tasting the best. Like it's the best thing in the world.
Small bowls of food. Blacwyn, what tells you that this place is wide open to attack?
They barely have anybody on watch, and those that they do are weak and fatigued. You could wipe this place out with a strong score.
Eamon, I think I'm going to put this on you. When you're kind of guided in and everyone's looking very downcast, and no one gets in your way as you make your way to that main hut. When you go inside, who is laid out on the table, dead?
Oh, it's the king, of course. The young king.
It is indeed the young king.
Oh no. Damn.
And there beside him is Queen Manuja of Elmet, praying with Bishop Ivurius before they take him out and bury him. And I think that probably we will cut straight to that burial ceremony where you can, you know, the remaining.
One question.
Oh, go ahead. Go. Yeah.
Is she pregnant?
Tuca, is the princess pregnant?
Well, I think we have to go with the more interesting option, so I think we say yes.
She is indeed big with child, Eamon. So, you know, if this was Pasión de las Pasiones, that would be, and next time, but it's not. So let us cut to a scene which has all the remaining able-bodied men, which are not many, hacking away at the ground, this frozen hillside, trying to dig a grave for the king. Blacwyn, what's your reaction to all this?
It's a shame about the boy. He never didn't live long enough to learn any better. But maybe, you know, he didn't seem to be the most level-headed, and maybe somebody who's a bit more canny can take over and keep these people alive.
And I think that that they're making negligible progress in digging this grave.
He will take up a shovel and help out.
Why don't we just make a cairn, though? You don't have to dig up the icy ground. If you can just put stones over him.
And Manuja turns to you and she says, my brother must lie in God's earth.
Well, the stones are part of God's earth, aren't they not?
And she's angry with somebody. I don't know if she's angry with you, she's angry with God, she's angry with Winter. But she breaks down. And I think probably because we still have in play, I thought, yeah, Neva, the king's nurse. In fact, the old king's nurse will take Queen Manuja away to one side and look back at you, Eamon, and nod her head as if to say, yes, do what you have to do. And so we see this mean grave and this pile of stones being collected. This last resting place of a king.
Actually, Tuca has an idea before that fully gets restored.
Go on.
I think Tuca goes off by herself close by. Yes, and she will find a place of earth that looks like it would be appropriate for a grave, and will take Spring out and touch it to the ground there, and hopefully see that there's some type of thawing that would occur in that area.
That's such a charming idea, that Spring should break out underneath this tree bent double by the wind, the prevailing wind. I think I'm prepared to let you invoke Spring, Tuca, and all I ask is that you owe the pagan gods a debt.
I think Tuca would be okay with that. I don't know what my god is going to think about this. I owe them some debt. I owe that god a debt too.
You do. And I think that what I'd quite like to do is to say that your god does not like that idea. So if you want to make this happen, you will not only owe the pagan gods a debt, you will owe the one true God a debt.
Okay.
So I think that increases your debt to the one true God to 4.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that what that does is it gives me one hard move or temptation or something else to throw at you at my convenience, because God is angry. Yeah.
Okay.
So 4, you're currently owing the true God 4 and the pagan gods 1. Fine. What scenes, Modthryth, do you want a scene at this mountain fastness?
I mean, I think Modthryth is just like looking at Tuca, kind of like using Spring, and then she kind of looks back at Blacwyn and is like, hello.
Okay, Blacwyn, apart from then helping to dig a grave in much less frozen ground, do you want to do anything else here?
No, not at all. you know, I have a last thing to say to Eamon before the end of the session, and that's all Blacwyn has in mind, really.
Oh, well, we're not quite there yet.
Yeah, I'm just saying I'm easy with whatever until then,
Okay.
basically.
Tuca, I think I took us at a bit of spotlight. Eamon, do you want a scene here?
I mean, I would like to reconcile myself with my wife.
Indeed.
I mean, explain to her what had happened and why we're so late.
She slaps you and says,
And
I
why I
thought you
have to
were
go.
dead.
Okay.
I thought you had deserted me and the
I was
child.
lost in fairy. I would never do that.
Did you get what you were sent to find?
Yes, we did.
Then
We
make
got
this
it,
right
but we
with
have-
the trolls.
I will. Then we'll figure out our next step. You're unmuted, Alan.
Oh, I am. And I was being really emotive. I think we'll see her sitting on a stool in this bare hut, crying her eyes out. Her robes are grubby and dirty. She hasn't had a proper bath in weeks. And she's a queen.
Damn, she's beautiful.
She is, though, isn't she? She is.
Yeah, I will take her in my arms and I will say, my queen, you are beautiful. Don't let anybody tell you different. You also are a queen. Don't let everybody tell you different.
And I think that's probably seen on that. Does that feel like reconciled?
Yeah.
Okay. So unless you tell me otherwise, I'm going to cut to higher and deeper into the mountains. Yeah. Blacwyn, you get to the top of the valley where there are those large stone carved heads. How do you find the court of the Troll Queen?
It's a, you know, like the Tolkien thing, the trolls turning to stone. There are stone figures that, once you've noticed them, they line the path leading, the trail leading up to the mountain queens.
Okay. What does the entrance to the court of the Troll Queen look like, Modthryth?
Yeah, so I think that it's kind of, it's made out of stone, but it's like this kind of interesting stone. It's like super carved and intricate, and it almost has this like glistening aspect to it, almost.
Does the glisten, is that a precious kind of glisten, or is it as though there's a permanent sheen of ice on it?
I think it's like a kind of like you know when sunlight hits water, that kind of like glistening there. I feel like it kind of.
Okay, no, I go with that. Eamon, what's threatening? Because what I'm imagining is this kind of Stonehenge-y kind of uprights and crosspiece, intricately carved. Is it Eamon? Is it in the side of the mountain, or is it something you just pass through into another space?
I kind of imagine it's in the side of the mountain.
Hall of the Mountain Queen.
And what's threatening is, well, you know, maybe it opens up behind that. Who knows? But I think it's carved into the side of the mountain, and you can see behind that. You can see the silhouettes of guardians, large. They are maybe stones or trolls. Who knows? Or both.
Yeah, perhaps, you know, maybe there's some firelight that's casting some shadows. Tuca, what approach do you intend to take? Because you are holding Spring after all. How do you know that Spring has power here?
I know that spring has power because as we go into the hall, I mean there's the, you know, on the inside you don't see plants growing, but there's this kind of moss and stuff that grows, and you can see almost instantly that the kind of moss seems more vibrant, even like phosphorescent, right? There's a kind of subtle lighting that kind of picks up on some of that.
Oh, that's a much cooler source of light for those shadows, those threatening shadows, than firelight is. Yeah, absolutely. And as you go through this tunnel into the mountain, the heart of the mountain, I think you're right. I think that the moss that grows on the walls, which was kind of crusted with ice, the ice melts. We see water dripping as ice melts as you head into the mountain, and it does begin to glow with that kind of warm spring green light. And so it is that you enter this vast space, cathedral-like in scale, naturally occurring, this vast cavern. And there are a row of these enormous, 15 feet tall trolls looking at you as you enter. I think, who's going to take the lead in this conversation?
Tuca, I guess. She's got spring.
You carry spring, Tuca, and one of the trolls rumbles at you. It sounds like stone grating. Have you brought what our queen demanded of you?
I have spring, and I come bearing a proposal that will be, I think, very beneficial to your queen and to you. You're muted.
The screen of trolls part, and out from between them comes the messenger that you have previously met. And she comes towards you, leaning on her stick, and peers at you and says, have you brought it or not?
And
I can smell it.
Yeah, I think Tuca will bring it out from, gets it out of her secret pouch or pocket and reverentially kind of holds it, not giving it up at this point, but holding it there.
I've got it. Okay. Yeah. And there's a kind of drawing in a breath. It sounds like a wind in a winter past. There's a kind of and clearly all around this dark cathedral space, it's thronged with trolls, and a collective intake of breath that goes on. Spring. And her eyes glisten, and she says, you have returned it to me. Give it to me.
I am going to be overjoyed giving it to you, but it comes with a requirement attached.
Blacwyn, what tells you that the trolls around this great chamber are concerned with that statement?
I think you can hear the grinding of stone as they're features settle in frowns and their eyebrows together, kind of thing. And Blacwyn will try his best to look menacingly at massive things around him.
Modthryth, how do the two dogs react to this change in atmosphere?
I think that they are thoroughly nervous. They aren't liking all this noise, all of this. I don't like it.
Eamon, what are you doing at this point?
I'm watching Modthryth.
Ready
Never
to
know when she decides to stab someone with a bronze knife again, so I'll just be ready for anything from her, mostly because I can't really seriously fight a troll warrior anyway, and not escalating the situation seems like a nice idea.
Ready to tackle Modthryth to the ground if she makes the wrong move. Tuca.
Maybe not quite that violent.
No. Tuca, what do you mean, mortal?
I have spring, not because I snatched it from the Fey Queen or stole it. The Fey Queen gave it to me.
Never.
She gave it to me to come back here with it.
There is a trick in this. That bitch would never give it away.
Well,
No trick. Just our canny friend here. A trustworthy woman if ever anyone walked this land.
Speak on, mortal. Directed at Tuca.
we talked to the Fey Queen and opened her eyes to the changes that were happening all around the land. Changes which she was reluctant to see as bringing eventual doom upon her, but eventually she I think started to see that maintaining a continual battle against the trolls was ultimately something that would lead to the undoing of both her and the trolls, because it would leave both of you open to the incursions, the danger of the various human groups, societies that you now see swirling all around you. And she was open to working a peace agreement between her people and the trolls that would rely on spring being shared.
Shared?
Shared. Half of the year it would belong to you. Half of the year it would belong to the Fey Queen, and I would be the one who would take the burden of passing spring between the two.
There's the grinding has now become around the room as trolls shift and stand and edge forward. And she says, I would trust her to give it back?
Trust is something that needs to be built. I would say that you can trust me. And yeah, I would be looking to kind of bring in the debt that Gourmand owes me, to say, you know already that I am somebody who is honest, genuine, and who has no desire to do anything that would bring harm to your people.
So she can erase a debt that she owes you if she does something else specific, and then she would roll with advantage if she goes along with this. So if this came to blows later on, she would be acting with advantage, and you would be the go-between.
Yes. That was what the Fae Queen discussed with me, and she said that if I was willing to be the go-between to ensure that spring moved regularly between her and you, that it would be acceptable.
There's a kind of, the stone has stopped moving. It's absolutely silent. You can hear the drip of thawing ice. And she looks at you and she says, I agree. Give me spring. And her gnarled hand stretches out towards you. What do you do, Tuca? You are muted.
I initially reach out to her gnarled hand with my hand, not the one holding spring, but I grab her hand and look her straight in the eyes and say, I know that this is the beginning of a new age for you and the Fae, and I'm honored to be the one to be the go-between. And then in her other hand, she will reach out and hold out spring.
And I think we have seen and game bar epilogues. So shall we have a swift round of epilogues before Lara has to go? So let's start then, Lara, with Modthryth. What do we see of Modthryth in our kind of final epilogue scene?
Yeah, I think that we see Modthryth kind of making her peace with everyone there, but saying that she still has to go and spread the word of our good Lord, and save the people around her. Let them know about the voices that are in her head and that they mean the best for all of us, so that people should listen to her. And I think that we see her kind of like waving as she descends from the hill folk.
And maybe preaching some kind of theology in a market square. Okay, I go with that. Blacwyn, what about you?
I think it is, wherever point in later on, back at the mountain fast, and a last scene with Iamon saying, I need your help, just like I helped you now.
Okay. What do you need?
I've lost Aedwyn's trail. We were gone too long. There's only one man I know of who can hunt such a fabled creature as my daughter. Iamon, monster hunter.
You know I'm going to be a father soon. You up for winter travel?
Best get this over with quick. Best get this over with quickly then.
Let's go then.
Eamon, you have your own epilogue scene. You don't have to just take the fag end of his.
No, yeah, no, but I want my epilogue scene to include Tuca.
Then, Tuca, do you want to give me your epilogue first, and then we'll have a paired one?
Yeah, I mean, I think Tuca is right. Bracing herself to have a kind of new mission in life, which is to do something in service of the trolls and the fae. I think she has now Banus, and I see her also taking the other donkey as well, and in other times I think she is kind of taking over something of what the Tinker did, right, in terms of kind of transporting wares and produce and things along the trail, but doing that along with making sure that spring passes as it should between the two groups.
So I think we can segue neatly from Tuca, loading up both mules, making ready to depart, and Eamon, you want your epilogue to involve Tuca.
Yeah, but no, I can't, because Robbie has already told what is going to happen with Tuca, and I would have asked her to stay behind while I'm going out with Blacwyn, and to stay here
that's
during
the
the
joy
winter.
of, she's prepping to go, so she's loading the mules. So what do we see in this scene, Eamon?
I would go up to her and say, Tuca, I see you're leaving.
Well, I didn't know that I was really needed or wanted here. I know that you have, things have once again turned to a new chapter for you.
Yeah, but, Blacwyn asked me to go find his daughter with him, and I have to. I kind of sort of promised him, and we've delayed enough. But I want to be here for Magnusia, and I want her to be here, and I would just feel so much better if you were here and took care of her and all of these people, because there's no one I would trust more than you.
Tuca stops loading up Banus and turns and says, well, and it is winter right now, is that right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'll say, well, it is winter, and how long do you think you will be gone?
I hope we'll be back by spring. When the child is born, I will be here. You will be able to do your duty. I promise you that. And I don't think Blacwyn will gainsay that.
Eamon, I normally, I mean, I feel a little uncomfortable here, but I know you need me. So at least until the spring, I will stay here to do what I can.
Thank you. If I can never repay you for that. And I would not ask this if I had anyone else to turn to.
Eamon, would you mark that you owe a debt to Tuca, please?
No, I can only owe to 3 debts, right?
Yeah. Oh, you won 4 to
Yeah.
Tuca. Oh,
yeah.
Then you don't mark the debt. Tuca gets an experience point for being so valuable.
Oh, cool. There you go.
And I think that is where we will wrap. Apart from an epilogue, I would like to insert, which is we cut to a snowy woodland, a mound of wilting and frozen digitalis, and a hand reaches in and withdraws a bronze-headed arrow. Thank you very much, and we are done. We've got 5 minutes. Lara, give me any roses and thorns, because I know you have to go. Oh no, give me a rose. I'm not interested in thorns. Give me roses.
Yeah, no, this was awesome. What a great game. Like, I love all of the mechanics. Everything seems to work really smoothly. Yeah, and then everyone was just really fun to play with. I mean, I love all the details everyone added, and no, it was just really rich and great fun, and I hope I get to play again soon.
Well, I think I'm running I think I'm thinking of a series in September, so watch this space. Robbie, any roses?
It was a wonderful series, and this was a great session. I think that we, it wrapped up really in a way that was both fun and emotional, and I the appearance of Findel, which gave us some action at the end, was a nice little fight scene, Sabine, I think that the Iamon Tuca relationship, which kind of continues on, that I think was handled beautifully. So I think it was just a wonderful experience. Nice to kind of come back to this world.
It was like you'd never been away. Sabine, any roses?
Oh yeah, sure. Roses for all of you, all around. For Robbie, with Tuca being so commonsensical. I don't know. That's not a verb. Anyway, yeah. For being like, okay, I'm down to earth. But then kind of being very uncomfortable when she split Findel's head. That seemed very, very much on point. And I would have loved to have a scene in the evening with the two of Tuca and Iamon. What would have happened then? But well, we'll see. And I love
Blacwyn. A flashback, but we'll worry about that next time.
And Blacwyn, kind of with his gruff, to the point things that he says. I really like that. I really like that. Now you owe me. We go looking for my daughter now. We won't find her because she's in Australia. But well, okay. Lara, the player, lives in Australia of that daughter, so that's why I say that. And to Modthryth for being such an out there loon, but that was very consistently played. There were lots of breaks in Modthryth, but they were all very consistent, and I love that. That was really cool. Yeah, and Ellen for the whole complications you always bring up and throw at us, and then ask us what the details are. I like that. Thank you.
I'm drained. I had nothing left by the time I got to the Holy Mountain Queen. Will, any roses?
Yeah, I loved Modthryth's looniness and just how complicated it made everything. But it felt like, well, she's a loon, so like, and all these different internal kind of which to Modthryth the character are purely like real events, right? Like, gods do speak to people and you do see visions and things like that. So it's all legitimate. It's just us who are like, Jesus Christ, not again, kind of stuff. And I love the romance as well. I loved all the subtext. I liked all this overlapping, longing looks and then kind of wait for me, but look after my family kind of thing. Like, just making it more and more complex. And I really loved how this one felt to me like really building like mythology, like huge parts of it, like Tuca in some fairy tale in the future will become like just the passage of spring over time kind of stuff. And then, fighting in the hall of the fairy queen and stuff like that all seems very good. And I think it sort of comes towards that meta plot that we sort of had introduced from your other session, that War in the Heavens. It's sort of making all of that hidden world kind of like the shadow of it loom larger as well, like the patterns repeating in our mortal plane kind of stuff.
Well, I am definitely going to run Aegon in the autumn, to play mythic heroes in the other world. So I'll drop you a note nearer the time. No, roses all around, folks. That was tremendous. The role playing was fabulous. Lara, it is a joy always. Robbie, Tuca is such a three-dimensional character, and I've only ever played with you when you played Tuca, so I don't know if it's just Tuca or whether all your characters are like that, but they're tremendous. And Sabine and Will, you provide the glue in this because you run through this this place now quite significantly. So just it's brilliant. Thank you, Lara. You probably have to go. Is there a thorn? No. Okay. Have a lovely time. Everybody, give yourself 2 extra experience points when the time comes. Will, let me go back that way. Any thorns? Lara, don't feel you have to stay if you got to go.
Thorns. No, I think my only thorn comes in. I think sometimes it's hard with the character that you're playing in the framing to use the debt system, like fictionally speaking kind of stuff. But I do love that it's there, and I think it certainly opens up all of this political stuff. I don't know if it's just. I think it's because it's so much of it's like the monster hunting and this sort of thing, like that the debts don't come into your mind as easily as like, how can we solve this? Oh, I can just use my debt to come up with a reason why this would work, kind of thing. But I definitely, I like that play, and I would like to see more of it in terms of like negotiating treaties and things and blah blah blah. I loved all of that, and I feel that's a cool way for Eotenweard to go forward as well, right? Like how do you beat off like a band of people when you've only killed one of them? You take a debt over that band because you've intimidated them or something. Like
that's definitely the intent. I'm beginning to wonder, frankly, whether I need as much of a condition track, and whether in fact debt may be a more useful way to go. This felt the more satisfying debt temptation connection, and thank you all for leaning into debts. Sabine, any thorns?
Not a thorn per se, but I wonder if it's possible to kind of introduce conditional debts like promises. Because if you give someone a promise, then if you fail to deliver the promise, okay, you owe a debt. But if you deliver the promise, then I don't think you should owe a debt. But as long as the promise is there, this proto-debt is kind of in the other. Like with Tuca, who made a promise to be the spring carrier, basically, but it would serve her well, but unless she didn't do it. And the other two, the queens, they would also give back spring. That is their part of the promise. And if they broke that, they would be in debt to Tuca.
Maybe there is actually, something in the notes on treaty. The idea that you use a debt to leverage an agreement.
You could just track that as owing and having.
Like
you've got two-way debt there with that one. Or you could do it as in this particular situation of brokering. It can be the debt to the troll queen is cancelled out by the debt to the. You exchange those debts so that they go to zero. Like you're the middle ground between the troll queen and the fairy queen, kind of thing. Like, and their -1 on both their -1s on you turn into or +1 and -1 turn into 0, kind of thing.
I have to say, I've not thought through all the mechanics on that. I've just gone with the fiction. We may have to retrofit some debt to give that fiction weight. Robbie, any thorns?
I can't think of any, offhand. I mean, I do like. I think that when I played this about a year ago, I do think that the debts are make more sense to me now than they did at that point. I know that the game has gone through a number of revisions between then, but yeah, I mean that kind of element of the game seems to be kind of coming along quite nicely. Yeah.
No, I'm most satisfied with it now than I've been. I am tinkering with heroic virtue, which doesn't seem rich enough to me at the minute. But no, thank you. I have no thorns at all with you lot. I think it still needs a bit hammering about the system, but no, that was a great series that is the most thorough playtest it's had so far. So I thank you enormously for that. Thank you very much. I will now stop the broadcast. So way bye because I've kept you late.